small, was singing to whom they were in thrall. They couldn't forget Carcosa, the black stars in the sky, where twin suns linked in men's shadows as they pass on by. Their teeth did they gnash, their voices did they bellow, and their sanity melted away, all before the king in yellow.
Start of a new Delta Green campaign called Impossible Landscapes. It's probably the most famous of their campaigns, and I'm so excited to start running it. But first, for our little prompt this session, why don't we just hear about each of your characters individually, who they are, and how they were contacted and enlisted by Delta Green to fight against these unnatural incursions. So why don't we hear first about...
Don't pick me, I'm thinking.
You're pulling a Chris this episode. We'll start with...
Nope, never mind. I found it. I figured it out.
We'll start first with Harold Burton, who's Caleb's character. Caleb, why don't you tell us about Harold?
So Harold, he served in the Vietnam War. He was a POW for about 5 years. He kind of proved his worth and kept himself alive by performing some medical treatment on, soldiers captured with him and soldiers who were, in the Viet Cong. If they had festering wounds or something, and then if I realized they really just weren't taking care of themselves a lot of the time, I would just very simple treatment things, partially learned their language, just to be able to kind of communicate a little better and to just kind of keep as many people alive as possible. When I got released after the war, I came back to the States, to upstate New York, and honestly I couldn't keep working on people so much, because it would just take me right back to being in a jail cell. It really tripped me out. So I actually started working at a vet's office, just because it was a little easier for him to handle. But that being said, working in a vet's office does occasionally leave you open to some people who are wounded and cannot take it to a typical establishment because of reporting standards for certain injuries. So he got roped in to Delta Green when basically somebody came in with a pretty crazy injury. He was able to handle it, and the people basically looked up who he was and were like, oh, actually, we might be able to use you for something.
That's sick.
And yeah, that's how he got kind of roped back into Delta. Well, roped into Delta Green work in the first place, but back into the U.S. Forces in some capacity, basically.
What sort of doctor is he?
He currently he's a vet. He serves as a vet. But
also, what's your
his focus?
occupation?
Oh, he's a physician. Is the profession in the game. But yeah, he just kind of got he got pulled out of med school to go to the military. So they were kind of here's what you need to know for being in a war zone, basically. But when he came back, he was just prick, fuck, I'm going to vet school. I can't do this shit anymore. People's bodies just are different.
Yeah, that's a great tie-in too, because that's what a lot of mobs will do, is they'll send their guys to vets places to get fixed up because it's off the books.
Yeah, a lot of medication too.
Yeah,
it's the same stuff.
Hell yeah, I love that. Let's hear from the other doctor in the group, Dr. Vigo Halvor, Who is he, and
All right.
how did he get approached by the program?
So Dr. Vigo Halver was a brilliant scientist who was once driven by his passion for biological discovery, but he was forced into a dark alliance with Delta Green after accidentally uncovering an ancient occult artifact that linked the supernatural with his field of study. So he has a background in biochemistry and genetics, and Delta Green kind of came along and offered him uh, the opportunity to do incredible research, which he gratefully accepted. And he didn't realize that in walking down that path, what he would uncover. Um, and now Delta Green kind of uses him to investigate and contain the horrors of the occult. So um, he struggles to balance scientific truth with the ethical implications of the dark forces he has unleashed. And so they kind of use him now. He's kind of stuck, kind of working with them. He can't really go back, you know. He's gone too far to go back now. And there's other important facets of his backstory and life, but the other major one I'll mention is that while he was on a trip to Hawaii for research purposes, he was in a pretty devastating helicopter crash in which the causes aren't really totally known, but um, he crashed in a helicopter, so he has some trauma from that still haunts him to this day, and that he is living with.
Awesome. Yeah, I know we were talking about this, and he's very much like an inversion of Thaddeus in many ways. He was like seeking after knowledge, but he got too much. And now he's like terrified to continue because this shadowy organization. Yeah.
It's got his barbs in him now, and he can't like detach from it.
Yeah, he can't get out. Oof. All right, let's go next to Reagan Rattlesnake Jones. Who's this character, Seth?
Reagan Jones was born a year before the Vietnam War began. And he was born in the city of Longview, Texas. Absolutely dirt poor. And when he was younger, used to get into a lot of scraps, got into a lot of trouble, and school never stuck with him. He never got a GED, and when he turned 18, he immediately went to join the U.S. military. However, unfortunately for him, because he was eager to get into combat, the U.S. actually withdrew from Vietnam before he finished his basic training. But this guy did show a lot of promise. He finished all physical exams with top marks. His marksmanship was outstanding, and he was actually able to enter an accelerated program that actually saw him join what was called the Delta Force of the United States military, like pretty much right from its inception. Which, if you don't know what the Delta Force is, think of like the Navy SEALs, but even more specialized. That's the Delta Force is like an actual thing. So
U.S. Army Special Forces.
Yeah, he became a special operative, and so not in any minor conflicts that the U.S. was involved in like the late 70s and the 80s that you'd know of. It was all like top secret missions that he would have been involved in. And even though he was never able to make much out of himself as a scholar, he excelled when it came to being a special operative. And I think it would only make sense that he would be approached by Delta Green because he had a lot of special operations experience already, and if nothing else, he has an unwavering human will.
Hell yeah. He was put on that track, and eventually, perhaps someone in the military approached him that was already in the fold and recruited him to their cause. Do you think he's done any missions for them yet, or is he what's considered a friendly, like someone who knows of their existence but hasn't been
I
brought
feel
in?
like he has at least one mission for them, so he kind of knows the unknowns that they're up against,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, his mind has survived thus far. Maybe his lack of intelligence has been a blessing to him in that regard. Maybe he can see things a lot more simply than our previous two sophisticated members.
Yeah, that's true. Even on these kind of missions that are extremely covert, they usually need muscle and people who won't
Yeah.
ask questions, won't think about it too hard.
Oh, he's good at taking orders.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, let's go to Richard Levsner, Agent Levsner.
Yes. My character is Richard Levsner. He's 34. I think he treads the middle ground between being dumb as a brick and being a scientist. He's not necessarily book smart and he's not necessarily muscular, but he is scrappy and I think most importantly keen and observant. And so he went to school for criminal justice and graduated pretty okay, B's, A's. But as soon as he found his full-time job as a CPS investigator, so Child Protective Services investigator, he was able to pick up on subtle cases that were passed over. He noticed signs of distress in children, and basically was detail oriented throughout his career as a CPS investigator. And this is where he eventually met his adoptive son, Danny Levsner, from the job. He was a part of an abusive household with a younger sister who unfortunately passed away, or at least went missing. She is assumed to be deceased, and so out of duty to his job, but also to a child that was left on the streets, he adopted him. This was a little tense between his ex-wife Julie Nemen, and so they got divorced over this. And with that divorce, he didn't want to be a CPS investigator anymore because he didn't want to see more children in pain, especially after he just adopted one. And so, trying to leverage his keen eye, he applied to the FBI as a special agent, was accepted, and he started rising through the ranks pretty quickly, and that's when he started getting on Delta Green's radar. But not because he was a good agent, but because one of his cases as a former CPS investigator was actually covered up as normal when in fact it was an occult case. One of the children, one of the families were part of this secret underworld, and he had contact with them, but sort of blew it off as maybe he was stressed, overworked, etc. And when one of the FBI agents that he worked with found out about this and knew about the work that he did for the FBI, he sort of brought him into the fold. So he's not a special operator. He's not some extremely smart scientist. He's someone that has worked the streets and can figure out how to get out of situations, but while also maintaining his very important attention to detail.
Hell yeah. I love it. Yeah, so for this game, I'm going to do a sort of like an inspiration adjacent thing. In Call of Cthulhu, they have something called a pushed roll. And so for answering these kind of questions at the beginning of the session, you guys are each going to get one push, which is essentially, if you fail a roll, you can attempt to do something differently and roll again. And if you succeed, you get it. If you fail, it's considered a critical failure. So it could be catastrophic, but you know, if you're in like a dire situation where you need to pass a check, that's an option to sort of give you something to potentially do it. But it comes with a potential cost, which I like. So we're going to start with a little opening cutscene here. We're going to fade up on an old black and white television broadcast with a scratchy music track playing in the background. On screen, we see NBC Television presents. We cut to a globe spinning in space, fading slightly as we read the next title. Philco Television Playhouse. The blocky letters write justified next to a set of cartoon play masks. A narrator with one of those classic transatlantic accent voices over the music. Philco presents the Philco Television Playhouse. Tonight's play, The Yellow Phantom, directed by Gary Topchick. We cut to a stage filled with a dozen performers all dressed in various vaudevillain costumes that each bear one thing in common. All of them wear white masquerade masks. And we'll cut from there to the present day. We cut away to a wide aspect ratio of a grainy New York City skyline. We see a title card that reads, August 9th, 1995. Our camera keeps the same framing, but it tilts down slightly, and it begins a long, creeping zoom. In it, we see various people going about their business dressed in like t-shirts and shorts. We see a billboard for Die Hard with a Vengeance on the side of a building. We go even further and we hear a taxi cab passing by and TLC's Waterfalls playing through the speaker. And this zoom goes on for so long, it's like 30 seconds to a minute, that we're starting to wonder at this point, like, what are we supposed to be focusing on here? This just seems to be a tableau of New York at this time. But we then hone in on a man in a long overcoat. And we track his movement as he crosses a busy street and buys a newspaper from a stand. Ryan, what is Richard Levsner up to in the early morning of August 9th, 1995?
He is doing his normal routine. I think he always wakes up early. I would say Danny is, I would say, probably in like first grade at this point. And so he gets him ready, puts him on the bus, and then starts his morning routine. He goes to the stand down the street, gets a newspaper on his way to his favorite donut shop, grabs a donut, and starts walking to the FBI field office with a hot coffee in hand too.
Hell yeah. So he arrives, opens the door. You meet the doorman Gary, and he looks at you. Says, how you doing, Richard?
Same old, same old. Danny just had a bad day at school yesterday, but took him out for some ice cream yesterday. Helped him finish his homework. He should have a great day today.
Ah, that's great. He takes your ID, buzzes you in, hands it back to you, and you head into the elevator. Which floor are you on of this building? It's rather large.
3rd floor.
Okay, you get out. There's just this like labyrinth of cubicles before you. You see some faces that you recognize, some that you don't. People a lot of times will come and go from these types of offices, and various city officials and folks like that. That might just be like a one and done type situation. But as you settle into your cubicle, your desk is sort of this like very almost like an arranged chaos. There's a lot of different colors and patterns, but it's very formulaic with how it's arranged on your desk. You have pending cases, you have crime scene photos, you have various bits of correspondence organized in manila folders. And you have a very early version of a computer on your desk.
Mm-hmm.
We see the logo for IBM. And as well as a landline phone that's connected to your cubicle. And we see a person surface from the cubicle next door. Presumably to say hello. Who is the person seated directly next to you? Who's like your go-to friend at the FBI?
Let's see. Jack Holloway. I would say he met me on my first day and was very inviting. It's not like his unit is cold or anything. He just was more friendly than all the rest. Like the typical like New Yorker that wants to get to know you, but and so like super hyper about it. But he's just friendly. And so ever since then, we just bounce ideas off of each other for our different cases, go out for beers after work, just typical coworker relationship.
Yeah, he turns to you, he has his own cup of coffee, and he's just shaking his head, and he's like, man, this fucking Dredger's office case is killing me. Can't get shit done with it, there's so much red tape. You see he has a bunch of photos of, like, debris that has been like dredged out of the river, which hence the dredger's office. It seems like it was focused on a lot in the media for embezzlement. Whoever was heading it was like misappropriating funds. It's like, I can't fucking believe it.
I mean, maybe if you go swimming in the river, you'll find that money they were embezzling.
This is why I love sitting next to you, man. Oh.
But I don't think Richard looks up from his casework as he's talking to him though. Like Richard is very much about his work, and so he's just quipping with Jack while he's doing work.
Oh yeah. And what is he like focusing on in this moment?
What Richard is?
Yeah, as Jack sort of fades away into the background, his
I think he's reading statements from different witnesses that he interviewed, cross-examining them to see if there's any details that are out of place with his current case that he's working. It's not really too far in. He's just gathering initial information, trying to find leads for what he's going to investigate next.
Okay. It's at this point that you feel a buzz from your pager in your pocket. And it's that pager. The one you rarely ever get messages from. And you sort of look to see if Jack's looking. You see he's distracted by his own thing. You look down and you see the pager just has a phone number on it. And you know that you're supposed to go to a payphone and dial this number to get in contact with you call it the program.
Mm-hmm. So Jack's not looking. You know how like people run by cubicles and like tap on the top to get their attention? Hey Jack, something just happened at Danny's school. I gotta run for the day. If the boss is looking for me, just tell him I had a family thing. I'll come back and work late if he needs me to. And then he rushes out the door.
Yeah, no worries, buddy. I got you. Drinks later though, or this weekend if I don't see you.
Yeah, you got it. And he's like waving him off as he's running out the door.
You head out. We cut to another zoom shot, but this time it like crashes into you at a phone booth. We see a close-up of your fingers ringing the different, or pushing the different buttons of the number on
like,
your pager.
Put the phone in, like looking at the pager and like dialing it in.
Yeah. And you hear a gruff, sort of New York voice on the other line that says, "You've been invited to a day at the races." Hello, is someone there?
Sorry. Richard responds with, I mean, can't you guys ever be straight? Just tell me what I need to do. This is what? Call number 5?
All right, wise guy. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., Washington Square Park. Don't be late. It's gonna be a long day. And the phone hangs up.
Okay. You hear Richard, can never hang up first, and he hangs up the phone.
Our camera sort of like whips around and cuts to another whip shot that lands on this like frail looking dog that's sort of like vomiting a bit to itself on an operating table. We see these aged hands that are reaching over. We realize this figure like forced the dog to vomit so that it could get something out of its throat. As we see like chunks of brownie in its vomit that's sort of gathered by the side of this operating table. Our camera lifts up from there, and we see Dr. Harold Burton in his element at his veterinary clinic. What is he up to on this day?
Oof. Let's see. What day of the week is it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's a Thursday.
What's the date again?
August 9th, 1995.
Yeah, I guess I could just Google it.
What's Google?
Wednesday, Tyler, dude.
Oh, it's one day out.
Wednesday, my dude.
Oh,
Bad storytelling.
Bad storytelling. All right, yeah. So that is Wednesday.
All right, yeah.
Early morning.
Well, Wednesday mornings at the vet are definitely paperwork day. Or paperwork morning. So he's like going through fucking pet insurance like claims basically for the first half of the day. And then I think he has an appointment for a rabbit, an appointment for a snake, and an appointment for a turtle in the afternoon.
Okay. You see in the room where essentially it's like an operating room for animals that are brought in, or a treatment room you could say. You see another older man. He looks pretty similar to you, but he doesn't have glasses, and he still has a full set of graying hair. Sort of calls out, and he's like, Harold, can I get your help in here?
Yes, 1 second. And I put my glasses on. Farsighted. and I'll put down my paperwork and head over.
You see this guy's like holding down a dog that's vomiting onto the floor. And he sort of motions for you to like grab the dog as he's gonna reach down and just like clean up some of the puke that's on the ground.
Okay. I assume it has like a harness or something on.
Yeah.
All right. I will hold the dog in like a seated position kind of thing.
As this happens, you see in the corner there's this young like 20-something-year-old woman who's like bawling her eyes out. And she's like, I promise I didn't mean to do it. I made the brownies and he got into them. It was an honest mistake. And she's just like super emotional.
I look down at the dog's eyes.
The dog is like a bit sedated. He's been forced to puke, but he's just like definitely is starting to relax now that he's gotten it out of his system.
Okay. Oh, don't worry, he'll be fine. I assume it's a he. Is it a he? Hold a second, check.
Yep.
Yes, this is unfortunately too common these days.
Well, I don't know. I feel bad. I'm such a bad owner. I need to be better. But as soon as I saw something was wrong, I brought him right over.
Yes, I mean you did what you could. Like I said, he'll be fine. Get him a pup cup or something on the way home.
This other doctor like finishes cleaning up and thanks you, and you sort of escort this woman out of the clinic. As you also get a buzz from the beeper you keep on you. The one that never goes off. And it has the digits of a phone number on it.
All right. I'm gonna go out to my car. And oh wait, no, we don't have cell phones. Do we have a car phone?
You could at this point in history, yeah.
Okay, sick. And I'll make the call on the car phone.
Okay. You're a gruff New York voice that's like, you've been invited to a day at the races.
Saratoga Springs.
Washington Square Park. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Don't be late.
Anything I should know or bring?
It's gonna be a long day. Just keep that in mind.
Granola bar. Okay.
And the other line hangs up, and you just hear the phone static.
He kind of hangs the car phone up, and he's got like a little chill down his spine. It's been a minute since this has happened. And I will walk back into the office and tell whoever needs to know that I will not be in tomorrow.
Okay. And we cut from you exiting your car to Reagan Jones exiting an old, sort of beater-looking car as he begins his morning. Where is he at? What is he up to on the morning of Wednesday?
Well, he's taking a trip to the park because he's gonna go into his trunk right now. Even though it's a hot August morning, he's gonna take like a plate carrier like you would in the military that has a bunch of weights strapped onto it, plop that on, put like a sweatshirt over that, and do a weighted run through the park in the morning. He's currently not on any operations at this moment, so he needs to find ways to occupy himself.
And you start running. We see like bits of the New York skyline in the background. We see trees like whirring by you and just like shapes of runners that pass by you. And we see you finally come to a stop after your run, and you are just like exhausted, like breathing heavily. But we see even at this age, like you're still a physical machine when it comes to exercise. And as you wrap up your run, we see someone puts their hand on your shoulder. Someone you know. Who is this person that has approached you on your run out of the blue?
Ooh. Let's say, like literally anyone.
Literally anyone, yeah.
Well, there's another reason why he drove all the way into the city today.
President
And that's
Clinton.
because even though it's late in the summer and this won't be for a few months, he's been practicing at a ballet studio to be in this year's production of The Nutcracker. And
I love that.
who else to run into other than we'll say Kendra White. that'll be her name. She's like one of the instructors at the studio.
Yeah, and she sort of hits you with this like classically sassy attitude that she has with you. You gather there's a bit of a flirtatious element there, but she just always is like shitting on you a little bit. She's like, you know, you're not going to get any better if you just do cardio. That's not technically practice. And she's in like full workout attire. She's sweaty. Looks like she just went on a run too, maybe.
I'm gonna get my plyometrics in later. You know, I always do. Gotta work on them high kicks.
Yeah, sure. We know you're so good at those already, huh?
He's gonna... just like in the middle of this park, or I guess he's like close to his car now, he takes a step back, just goes for like a straight like leg lift, and his leg stops partway up, just groaning against itself with the run that he had just been on. All of his muscles are tight. He may have pulled it a little bit. Ah! And he kind of just collapses to the ground a little bit. I said I'd get my practice in. I ain't warmed up yet.
How did I know that was exactly what was about to happen? I think it's about time you treat me to a little coffee, don't you think? Want to go to the place down the street?
Yeah, got nothing else to do.
She extends her hand down to you to kind of help you up.
Takes it and knows that he would probably pull her down if he were to let her like contribute her strength, so he basically just gets up on his own, but still holding her hand in the process.
And you both walk back to your car because you need to grab your wallet and your keys and everything that you sort of put above the tire when you went and ran. And as you do so, you feel for that pager, and for some reason, like it's in the back of your mind that maybe, you know, you check it from time to time, like maybe there's some message or something from the program. You don't know why you reach for it today. You know that years have gone by without any sort of communication from them, and that's completely normal. But today, you see there are digits of a phone number that they've sent to your pager. And you know you're going to have to cut this potential date with Kendra short.
Alright, he sees the pager, lets out a bit of a gets out from the car. You know what, Kendra? We'll have to get coffee another time. I forgot that I needed to go to a mechanic today to get my oils changed. I need to go call every damn business around the city to make sure anybody could take me in on such short notice.
Fine. That's what you always tell me anyway. It's always some excuse.
He
All
kinda
right.
just scratches the back of his head. He can't come up with a. He can't do more than one layer of that lie.
Yeah, just out of my own curiosity, just to see how this will develop over time. Why don't you give me a persuade roll?
Oh boy.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see if.
First
I'm
roll
gonna
of the
see if she.
campaign.
Yeah, first roll. I'm gonna see if she buys this.
He doesn't have any points in persuade. That is a fumble.
Push it.
Okay. So with the
Wait,
fumble,
was that a private roll?
Oh yeah, it is a GM roll. Let me change it on the. Oh yeah.
on the
There's
top,
like a
on the top left, it should have like
toggle
a.
box on the
yeah.
character sheet. It was a 22 over 20, which is a failure.
That's a fumble. That's great. So you know that, like, you kind of stammer a little bit. It comes a bit unnaturally, and she seems to be suspicious of you in this moment. She may not think it's like, you know, anything close to some secret organization, but she just think there's a reason that you're bailing from her, and it seems very odd in this moment. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll see you for practice later then.
I will be there, yes. Sorry about this, Kendra. I promise you it's for a good reason.
Okay. You better be more limber later. And you see she kind of turns
She does
around.
like does that like a little like ballet move that kind of looks like a curtsy where they like flare their knees out and kind of squat a little bit. Does a couple of those.
I love that he's a dancer. It's such a fun little detail.
He has to find things to do when he's like not on operations, so
He does,
dancing might be the best way for him to do that. And actually, he's not professional level, but he's actually like pretty good for somebody who does this as more of a hobby than anything.
Hell yeah. So yeah, we'll cut from there, sort of you just like surrounded by this trees and in this greenery, to our final agent here, Vigo. We see Vigo walking down this street, and there are some like trees and other greenery around it. Where's he headed on early morning Wednesday?
He's heading to a cafe, the same cafe he goes to during his morning routine every day. He's already been up for a couple hours. He got up before the sun rose and went for a nice bike ride, you know, and then went back, showered, had a little breakfast, probably some coffee and something simple, probably like toast and butter or oatmeal, and gets ready for work. And now he's on his way. He stops in the same cafe. He gets another coffee. Says hi to some older ladies who meet there every day for their coffee with each other. And I think he takes his coffee and he cuts through a little park. I think he grabs a newspaper on the way, stops for a few minutes every day to sit by a bench and feed the birds and read the newspaper and drink his coffee, and then he's on his way to the office.
And as you're feeding these birds, you see coming towards you from the other side of this park you're currently in is Stelios. You see he's sort of like an overweight individual, sort of balding. He has like vaguely Mediterranean features. And he walks up and he's like, "Hey man, you got anything going on today? Like in 30 minutes?"
Well, you know, I've got tests to run, but I suppose I could make time for an old friend.
And you see he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out some tabs of acid. You're trying to...
That was unexpected.
I mean, I'm trying to trip in this park, dude. I was wondering if you wanted to join me. It's a Wednesday morning. It dawns on you that he's just doing this on a random Wednesday.
Well, I can't partake. I have a very busy schedule today. You know, there's a lot of research. I got to check on some of the tests that have been running overnight. But I could stay for a little bit.
What if you were operating at like 101% efficiency today? That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, you're here. You're smart as fuck, dude. You're a scientist. You could be here. Microdosing every day. That's the key. I'm telling you, dude.
Well, I like to, you know, I like to plan things out. I would have to prepare, you know, maybe another time. But why don't you take it, and we'll have fun together, and it'll be just as fun. I'm ready. Yeah, we can hang for a little bit, and then I'll run off, and it's just like the good old days.
All right, fine, whatever. He takes one, and you know, there's probably like 10 or 20 minutes that passes, and then he looks up and he's like, "The trees, bro. The trees are moving all around us." And he starts to like lose interest in you, and like sort of is in his own world, and you very like quietly start to make your escape from this, not wanting to be late for work. But as you head there, you feel that buzz in your pocket of your pager. And it's that pager that never goes off, and you always are scared to see anything appear on its screen. It's the digits of a phone number.
Well then, he I guess he heads to the closest phone booth and pops in some coins and dials it up.
Okay. And same as everybody else, this voice tells you you've been invited to a day at the races, and tomorrow at Washington Square Park, 9 a.m.
All right, I'll be there.
And maybe it's even a bit like just stress-inducing for him. Like there's a tightness in your chest as you realize you're being drawn back into this organization that has this chokehold on you.
Yeah, I think he says that, and then he just like hangs up the phone and just like puts his head down and just like lets out a heavy sigh as his head just rests against like the phone booth, where he picks himself back up and keeps on walking.
You head out from there. And we cut to the next morning to Washington Square Park. We see the August sun filtering in through the canopy of trees, dappling the paths with shifting patches of light. We see street musicians, jugglers, and magicians hold small crowds captive here and there. And there's a symphony of bongos, saxophones, and guitars blending with the chatter of hundreds of tourists. As they wander about, you see many of them snapping photos of the iconic arch. And it's near the Washington Square Arch that you spot your handler for this operation. Agent Marcus of M-Cell. He's a Caucasian man with salt and pepper hair and a thick mustache, and there's a menthol cigarette dangling from between his lips beneath it. He wears an oversized trench coat and a faded army green bucket hat. You see his eyes scanning the park as though cataloging its contents before ultimately landing on each of you as you approach simultaneously. He gives the smallest of nods to each of you, exhaling a curl of smoke as you approach and pretending to point at the different monuments as he speaks to you. This is what Agent Marcus looks like. And this will be the first piece of evidence on your evidence board. So I'm going to reveal that as well. And I'll change the music up a little bit here. Which of you is the first to arrive?
This is tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah. This is August 10th.
I think Richard would probably try to take the day, like, take half a day off, and so he's probably there first, just relaxing in the park, reading a book.
Okay.
I mean, Thursday is usually spay day, so, you know, he's kind of happy he doesn't have to do that today. I'd say because he was going into the city, he'd go get, like, a good bagel. But I think it would make him run just on time, because it would probably take a little longer than he was anticipating it to take.
I think Vigo would probably get there maybe like half an hour early, but like with ample time, but then kind of wait nervously on the outskirts of the park, you know, before entering, just kind of pacing, trying to maybe sit at a bench, trying to, you know, fake himself into being calm, but getting like the jitters, wondering, you know, what's about to happen, and before he enters, maybe a few minutes late.
Reagan makes it to the meeting place with only about 90 seconds to spare.
So all of you arrive at like slightly different times, but like weirdly you approach like close to the same time. So, you know, maybe you see the shape of Levsner, who you don't really know his name, but he's the first to like make it there, but you all are, you know, a few steps behind him. And this figure, Agent Marcus, who you all know his name, as he is a head of M-Cell in New York City. You know, he's been on a dozen or more operations in the city, and he seems to be well plugged in to the program here. Once again, he's like pointing to the different monuments as he speaks to all of you as a group. You've all been incorporated into a new cell, effective immediate. You're all members of M-Cell. You're going to be operating under me. And as I tell you this, I'm going to have you each think of a name that starts with M that you're going to give your fellow agents to refer to you as. So think quick. As for the operation, this one's going to be called Alice. You've been granted clearance from the FBI in the collection and typing of evidence from a location of interest in a woman's kidnapping case. Law enforcement officers and temporary advisors are going to be what's on the scene in the books. That's where all of you come in. You're going to be temporarily deputized, and those that aren't involved in law enforcement will be made advisors. As part of this cover, you're to catalog every item and paper in this apartment. A symbol associated with demonology and the occult was found at this location. I don't have the symbol, and I don't know what it looks like, so don't ask me. That's all you need to know. The apartment belongs to a missing woman. Her name is Abigail Wright. You're to investigate this location and determine whether unnatural influence is behind her disappearance. If it is found, it's to be stopped or destroyed. And if you find the girl, you're going to need to make an assessment if she is stopped or destroyed. He hands Levsner a leather valise. You start to put two and two together, Levsner, that like he probably handed this to you because he knows you're FBI. So this will appear extremely credulous on the books to have an FBI officer from the actual FBI, not faked with any credentials of any kind on this case. And you also gather in this moment that he's probably FBI. And you sort of do recognize his face, like maybe you've seen him, but there are 2,000 agents in the city, so you couldn't think of his true name. He just calls himself Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
There's a New York Post article in there. I've put her FBI file in there as well. The address of the location. And some keys to the building, among other things. If you need to get in contact with me for whatever reason, you're going to send a number for a burner phone or a payphone to my pager. And I will answer from a burner phone or a pager. If you want to meet me in person, same rules apply. I will send you a location. Any questions?
Do you know where we could get a uniform?
I think one of you could help with that.
I'll take this back to the office and see if I can't go through our extra closets, let's say.
I'll let
And
you
I'm all set.
I'll let you all in on a little something too, a little protocol, since some of you are friendlies and not agents proper. It might be safer to use these M names with each other. But I'll leave it up to you. Cross-cell contact is exclusively with code names. If you are to encounter any operative of the program in the field, you give them your code name and nothing else. We don't know who is clued in on what, or who's an operative or who's not. So use your best judgment. But within the cell, you can use your real names. You note that he hasn't given you his.
Mm-hmm. He just said Marcus, right?
Any other questions for me?
I don't have a question for him, Tyler, but I have a question for you. I have a feeling he's an FBI agent, but in my backstory, someone brought me in. I haven't defined what that looks like. So what is the interplay between like my supervisors or people I know and me being in Delta Green?
Well, to answer this, I'll have you roll a luck roll.
Okie dokie.
You can roll that on your sheet.
I just clicked this, right? Unfortunate.
Okay. You don't recognize this this man's voice in any way. You don't recognize what he's wearing at all. The only way you really have been able to tell that he's FBI is he has a belt on, and there's an impression in the leather from where your badge goes. And it's something so distinct and particular to your set of knowledge that you know he must be FBI, but you don't recognize him.
I'm talking more about my supervisors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to that. I just wanted to see if there's a chance you would have known him actually at the FBI if you rolled a success. But you were brought in. I'll let you name this person. One of your supervisors is a Delta Green agent. He'd probably be an older man, Vietnam War veteran. Like this man seems, Agent Marcus does, because you see he has this like army green bucket hat that you presume maybe came from the war or his time in it. That brought you into the fold. You know, he probably sat you down at some point and was like, look, there's this program. It's clandestine. Gave you the Delta Green operative missives that I sent you guys over Discord a while back. Maybe read you through those. And into this, you know, secret organization that fights these forces that threaten the United States on a much wider scale, on a conspiratorial scale. So basically, FBI is your day job and your cover in many situations. And within it, and within many federal agencies, are these secret Delta Green operatives.
And so does Eric still work there or no? Did he retire? Did Eric? Sorry.
Oh, his name's Eric.
Yeah, his name's Eric. Eric Stather.
Eric Stather. I love it.
Did he retire or is he still working there?
You tell me.
I'd say to make it interesting, he's like just retired.
Yeah,
and he
I like that
moved
too.
to like he like moved to Mexico or something. Like he's fucking like I'm out. Bye.
Yeah.
One inductee and then gone.
Yeah, we'll say he's retired off the grid in Mexico.
Yeah.
He has no way to contact him by cell. The only way maybe is if you were to write like a letter to him.
Yeah.
And that's very common with these DG agents. They go off the grid. And you might even know this, that like sometimes there are what's called shadow teams. That if you're part of an operation and it goes south, there's a team that's sent to make you disappear. And so maybe he went off the grid for a reason. Maybe it wasn't. so much of an innocent, like, I'm retiring and going off the grid. But he went off and retired in 1994, so a year ago.
Okay. All right. I think I'm good. Well, actually, he made a comment earlier that some of us are friendlies. Are there people in this group that aren't like full Delta Green operatives?
Yeah, he seemed to indicate that essentially there's the different.
There is a distinction.
There is, yeah.
Okay.
Friendlies have been involved and are aware of the program's existence, but aren't clued into 100% of what happens.
Would I be a friend?
And
Yeah,
the thing that's really strange, and I'm going to play into a little bit, is none of you will have any awareness of whether you're a friendly or an agent. The distinction is so blurred that you're not even sure who makes that distinction.
Oh.
So that's something that maybe we could play with in this operation as well. But yeah, you all see that he's sort of like, the longer you guys are all standing there, he seems to be getting visibly more anxious. His eyes are darting around the park as if he's looking for something. So do any of you guys have any other questions before he seems to be eager to leave?
I don't think so.
Okay. So he hands you this valise. You guys can choose to like find a secluded area of the park, or maybe like a backroom table at a bar or restaurant or something to go through it, but you'll have to be a bit choosy about where you want to open this up.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can introduce yourselves using your M names.
I would say Richard doesn't say.
Y'all can
his
call
real-
me McGee.
McGee.
Hell yeah.
Mac Gee.
Irish butter. You guys can call me Agent Mastiff.
I love it. That's great.
Okay, McGee and Mastiff. Nice to meet you. I am Dr. Mikhail.
Do you say
Mikhail.
Mikhail? Yeah, okay.
Mikhail, Dr. Mikhail, yes.
Mikhail Ronkin?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Doctor. You can call me Maynard. I suggest we meet at this bar. It's maybe a couple blocks from here. It's called the 5th Street Bar, and let's meet there tonight, maybe 5 p.m. I'll see what I can do to put this in our systems. And then he holds up the valise, make it a little bit more official.
By all means, have at it.
Well, I guess I will see you at 5 o'clock. He's eating the granola bar he brought with him, by the way.
It's gonna be a long day. It was like a 30-minute meeting.
It's gonna be a long day. Proceeds to eat granola.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. You see Maynard nod and just kind of walk off.
As you're walking off, we're gonna focus particularly in this moment on Agent McGee. And this is only possible because you have a fucking 80 in alertness.
Animal.
Because a lot of this game is like just passive abilities. Like if you have a certain score, you automatically get something without needing to roll at all. So you see, as you guys all begin to disperse and you're left on your own, you see in this summer-packed park filled with tourists, inside this large open area, there's a small clown that appears to be dancing to this like strange looping dirge interspersed with a drum. And it seems to be playing from this scratchy old looking record player. I'm gonna put this on real quick.
What the fuck?
You see the clown appears to be a child in a coverall that's emblazoned with geometric shapes filled with various colors. And he's wearing a clown mask that covers his or her entire head. The mouth has rectangular teeth, and its eyes are just black slits. And it seems to be dancing in this like precise way to the music. And it has a ribbon-covered paper dragon that's maneuvering above its head.
Does anybody else in the park seem to notice this clown?
There's a small crowd that's around him watching. Just waving the dragon.
I think maybe with that, Agent McGee is the first one to leave the group in this moment and walk over to the small crowd that's formed, although kind of standing at the back of it, and just start watching this performance. Maybe in his rational mind, he's just he thinks he's like intrigued by the dancing because he's interested in dance and can respect a performer where he sees one.
There is a very strange level of appreciation here because you see like this child appears to be like a prodigy at dance. Like, even though it's slow, he or she is doing these movements that are like really precise to the music, like stopping and just slowly swaying back with this paper dragon, stopping again and holding a position that would like maybe cause a normal child to fall over for like multiple seconds. Must have some kind of amazing core strength. And as you see this paper dragon moving through the air, it seems to be almost like a pattern. I'll be making intelligence times 5 roll.
What does that mean? Excuse me.
Yeah, so I just have to, that's like the DC for it, is intelligence times 5.
Yeah, if you go, I think it's to the right of your scores.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like the DC for it though.
Yeah, it should be calculated automatically, but
That is a failure.
Oof.
so it almost makes sense, like this meathead dude that's just watching this happen. Like, you just see like it's doing these very precise movements, but you have no idea what it means. Maybe that's a good thing, honestly. But you're just sort of like watching it just move and sway. And then it gets off of its stage. And it starts to move like it's going to head somewhere in the park. What do you do?
Bravo! Ain't never seen shit like that before.
You see people around you too are all like clapping. And before long, you look around and see that this child clown is nowhere to be found.
Alright, I guess, in that case, McGee is gonna promenade about this section of the city because he doesn't, like, live here. He doesn't have his house to return to in the city. So he's gonna walk around and maybe grab a bite to eat. Just bide his time for the meeting later this evening.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll sort of hop around here as you guys spend your days in anticipation of this meeting with Agent Maynard. Would any of you like to do anything in advance of this meeting?
Just for the rest of the day we have.
Yeah, you essentially have, from 9:30 a.m. to like 4:30 p.m. to do something if you'd like.
I think you see. Well, Maynard would definitely go into like a shopping mall after leaving work and try to find like a bathroom. That's like a single bathroom, not like a stalled bathroom, so he can go through the file before the meeting.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So inside, I'll reveal this now, and you guys can, your characters will become aware of it in the meeting, but you can get it a little early. You see inside are temporary FBI credentials for all the agents and friendlies involved in this operation. Interestingly, you see yours has your actual name on it.
Yep.
Which, in effect, is a reprint of your FBI credentials as they exist currently. But it seems Marcus was trying to purposefully do that to make the other agents think that this is also a false name you're using.
Yeah.
As to not blow your, or to burn you. You see a New York Post article. It's like cut out from a newspaper on the case. So I'm going to reveal this on the evidence board here. And I'll have you read that for me.
Okay, can I zoom in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's legible at about 150 zoom.
Yeah. Missing Artist Prompts New Fears in Kips Bay by Raymond Diaz. For those who knew artist Abigail Wright, her disappearance from her Kips Bay co-op around June 4 is a mystery. Authorities have been frustrated in their efforts to find the young woman, last seen near her apartment at East 32nd Street and 2nd Avenue. According to a source familiar with the case, early leads have collapsed. A month on, Chief Detective Graham Giradonda says the NYPD is no closer to locating Wright. The source also said a strange and disturbing collection of items have been found in Wright's apartment, including medical supplies, books, and machinery. Wright's neighbors maintained that all was fine with her and nothing indicated that she was in danger or planning to leave. Her apartment was locked from the inside. A rise in break-ins, muggings, and assaults in the neighborhood prompted youth leader Anthony Scott to comment, "It is well known in the neighborhood that after 5 p.m., the sidewalks roll up and the police are nowhere to be found, particularly on foot." Scott said that people walking around after dark in the area are watching their backs, or should be. Very interesting news article.
Mm-hmm. You also see in there the FBI profile on Abigail Wright. So I'll reveal this to you. And I'll have you read this as well.
Yay, more Ryan reading.
Oh my god, I was muted. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Abigail Laura Wright, Caucasian woman, age 26, a successful fine artist, is missing from her apartment in Manhattan. She was reported missing on 4 June 1995 by her father, Nassau County Police Officer Thomas Wright, Caucasian man, age 50. Abigail Wright lived in Manhattan for 7.5 years. In that time, she only went to the police once to report a mugging in 1994 that remains unsolved. She had a distinguished academic record and an impressive list of credentials and former clients. Late last year, her first show was held at the Mercury, an art gallery downtown of Franklin Street. She managed to sell all 15 pieces, and with this money, she took half a year off to paint. 6 months later, she disappeared on, as best as authorities can guess, 1 June 1995. Police entered her studio in the McAllister building at East 32nd Street in the Kips Bay neighborhood of Manhattan on 4 June 1995. They found a baffling tableau. What once was a modest apartment now had every available surface covered in junk, glued or taped to the walls. Only the floor remained clear, the rug yanked up to reveal a battered linoleum surface. Among the junk were sets of dentures, partial dentures, a 1940s wheelchair, modern and antique artificial limbs, dozens of shirts, shoes, and briefcases, assorted radios spanning several decades, some still operational, all manner of jewelry, earrings, rings, and necklaces, and thousands of papers of all designs and ages, some in Spanish, some in Mandarin, and even a college economics report in Farsi. Almost all these items were glued to the wall with a fast-setting, cheap, full-bond epoxy. There were no obvious signs of a struggle or any sort of violence, and the neighbors offered no useful testimony. Detectives investigated several leads but uncovered nothing. The apartment remained a crime scene and was visited 4 times by NYPD, but only twice by detectives due to backlog. 2 months later, on 4 August 1995, Wright's credit card was used in Patience, Maryland, to purchase a pack of Old Gold cigarettes. The case was given to the New York FBI as a possible kidnapping. The FBI re-examined the tenants of the building and Wright's associates and friends and came to the same dead end, which stopped the NYPD. Employees at the gas station where Wright's credit card was used had no particular recollection of the transaction and did not recognize Wright from photographs. The signature on the receipt was her name, but not in her handwriting. The gas station had no surveillance cameras.
Okay. It has the address of the building, which is also in this file. It has a set of freshly made keys to the building and to her apartment. Each of them is stamped, "Do not duplicate."
Okay. Something I want to do in the bathroom. Does this piece of paper is typewritten, right? But are the redacted portions permanent marker?
That's a good question. I'll have you roll a luck roll. We'll see if they are.
Oh, fuck. What the fuck?
Oh. Yeah, so it appears like basically that information is unsalvageable. Whoever made this document put a lot of effort into making sure, maybe it's like a reprint or something, so you can't really like discern what's beneath. But that's what you gather. If you had succeeded, I actually could have given you that information. But...
Well, I was gonna hold it. If it was permanent marker, you might be able to hold it in the light.
Yes. Yeah.
That's fine.
And yeah, if it was a digital file, you could actually like potentially try to copy and paste from those fields, because sometimes the text is still underneath. But
yeah,
it's
don't
a
ever
physical
try
file.
to black out. Don't ever try to black out things by doing black highlight. It's not. That's not how computers work. All right. And what were the other things? Do not distribute.
Yeah.
Do not duplicate.
The keys say "do not duplicate" on them, which you know is common for most apartment keys, to be honest. And lastly, you see in there is a Polaroid photograph of Abigail Wright. I'll reveal this as well. This is what she looks like. There's handwriting on the photo that reads Abigail 1994. And I'll reveal this on your evidence board too.
How many keys are there?
There's a building key and an apartment key, so just 2.
Richard is... What part says do not duplicate? Are they in a bag? Is there like a key tag?
Just the key to her apartment is stamped "Do not duplicate." They're both in a plastic bag, and you gather the building key is probably like a maintenance level clearance for this building. Like a janitor might have this kind of key.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to go to a hardware store and duplicate the building key.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's easy enough. It's sort of like an older type of key, which makes it easier to duplicate actually. So it just takes like an hour, and then the guy hands you a duplicate.
Cool. And I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reseal everything in the... We'd say a valise. What the heck is a valise?
It's just a bag.
Yeah, in the valise, and start making my way to the 5th Street bar.
Okay. Would anybody else like to do anything before 5?
Yeah, I think I'll tell you what Vigo does.
Oh, actually, wait, one more thing. I'm gonna stop by my apartment and swap out my service pistol for like a personal pistol.
Oh, that's cool.
I am no longer on duty.
This is true.
Vigo he'll just call out a work for the day. You say he's sick or something, and it's just, I don't know, feeling stressed and anxious, and doesn't really want to do this, but knows he has no choice. So he's actually going to go back to his past and go and check in on and hang with, if he can find him. He's going to go find Celios, see what he's up to, and try to relive, some of the, memories of the days when they were in college, the good old days, and try to recreate the happiness he felt then. And maybe being around Celios will, be able to give him some momentary happiness before he has to go on with his work.
Yeah, so are you just going to head to the park where he was at last, or are you going to try to head to his apartment?
I think he'd head to the park first, see if he's still there, and then maybe to his apartment if he can't find him. Okay,
I'll have you do a search roll. See if you can find him in the park.
Sure. Let's see, what are we dealing with here for search? 20%, okay. No, not a chance.
You can't find him. But you go back to your place, and there's a message on your landline voicemail. And it seems to be from him. When he goes and he trips like this, he'll just, if you're not with him, he'll just leave this long, rambling voicemail describing his surroundings to you. But this one seems odd. It's mostly unintelligible. It's like sounds of a park and people passing by. And it seems like he's building up the confidence to say something to you, or maybe he just forgot he called you. But at the end of it, the only distinct words he says are, "All be better, yo."
Yeah, I think with that, Vigo would, he'd take a pause around his apartment. He'd probably hang out for a bit, and then maybe try one more time to find Vigo, and and to find Stelios, and if he doesn't, then he would just go for a nice long walk himself. But I think when he's at the apartment, he'd probably pause, maybe look at some photographs. I think he would look at some photographs from the Hawaii trip before the disaster, and just remind himself that he must be alive for some reason, because there was every reason for him to die in that crash, and for some reason he didn't. And he really believes that that must be indicative that there's more work for him to do. And I think he would just focus on that and that aspect for a bit, kind of bracing himself for the work he has in front of him. And then I think he'd grab like a 6-pack of ale or something and see if he could go and find Stelios again. And if not, then he'll just maybe he'll have one himself, and then just eventually make his way to the apartment of Abigail.
Okay. So he's not at the park. Are you gonna try to search maybe like around his apartment?
Yeah, could I go to his place of residence and see if he's gone back there, if he's there, or if he stopped there, or just... I want to go to his place.
Okay. Yeah. You head over to Brooklyn, which is where he has an apartment. Why don't you give me another search roll to try to find him as you spend a few hours looking through the streets, maybe looking into his apartment window, because he has a first floor apartment. Nice.
Oh shit.
That's close to a crit.
Wow.
It's hot out. It's like probably like 2 or 3 p.m., like the prime midday heat. And you see through his window, luckily the curtains are parted. You can see him just like completely crashed on the couch, asleep from the day's trip, or at least trying to sleep. You see on the TV is like, it looks to be some kind of like drama program. Why don't you make me a luck roll real quick? See if you can recognize what he's watching.
Sure. Nope.
Okay, yeah, you don't recognize what he's watching, but you see it looks to be like a period piece. There's a lot of costumes. Looks to be maybe 1800s time period, and you see the primary character appears to be a king.
Hey, buddy! I thought I'd come check in on you, see how your day went. I got some ale for us. And I think Vigo would change it to something maybe a little more casual, like Beavis and Butthead or something, like, I don't know, or like a cartoon. I don't know, something, Power Rangers. I don't know, something like easy that would have aired back then.
So, do you say this through the window? Because like,
I'm not
the building's,
I'm not inside.
Yeah, the building's door is locked. So are you just trying to like call out to him from outside?
Yeah, I'd like call out with that. I'd be like, "Hey, Stelios, I brought some drinks, buddy."
Okay, I think this is really cool. So I'll have you roll another luck roll. We'll see if he can wake up from his stupor here. Critical.
Yes!
Nice.
Can you unprivate your rolls? I want to see these.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it might
Oh, yeah.
it might do that by default for some reason, but
How do I do that? Sorry.
top left of the sheet there should be a part that says whisper. You're just gonna want to click that off.
It's like a little toggle thing in the top left.
Yeah.
Of the chat.
No, on your character sheet.
Oh,
Yeah.
on my character sheet.
It says GM Whisper.
Oh,
Like
yep.
in the
Thank
black
you for
box
mentioning that.
area.
Checked off. That's better.
Cool, yeah. Critical success. You see he comes to, he's like, oh shit. He comes over to the window. You see he just has his boxers on, and he sort of has that like muffin top situation going on above the boxers. And he's completely covered in sweat. He opens up the window for you to come in. Come in, dude. I was trying to reach you, bro. I saw something, dude, at the park.
Yeah,
Dude, it
yes,
was
I'm sure you did.
No, this was different, man. This was crazy.
Well, why don't you tell me over a beer? I brought the case. I brought the little 6-pack.
All right, come in. I'm not gonna drink though. I'm too fucked up. I can't.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna have one though.
He looks over and he doesn't seem to know why he has that on the TV. He's like, oh shit, sorry, dude. You changed the channel to MTV. You see like footage of like 90s TV crews going into like millionaires' mansions in Beverly Hills. It's like, oh fuck, dude. I'm sorry. I think I tried to call you at one point. I don't know.
Yes, I got your message. You said you. It sounded like you're having a good trip.
Yeah, man. I need to think about it, man. That was different. That was fucked up what I saw. I'll get back to you, but I need to think through some things about what that trip was, man. Roll an intelligence ×5 roll for me.
Do I just hit the intelligence? Or do I?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think about what he said to you over the voicemail. All be better, yo. ABBY.
Oh, all be better. Steelers, do you remember you said something a little peculiar? You said all be better. You know what thoughts you were having when you left that message? Any profound insights? Did you speak with God, or what does that mean?
It was fucked up, man. I mean, I felt like I was on a stage, bro. Like I felt like everybody in the park around me was just a character in a play, and they were watching me and laughing at me. And there was some girl, man. She was just looking at me, and she seemed to be the only one that wasn't laughing. I don't know. It sounds like horse shit maybe, but I think I'm going to journal about it, man. Later on. Find some meaning in it.
I think you should. I think would be good.
I just feel like everybody, man, in my life is laughing at me like I'm a joke. And he just goes on like a 20-minute tirade on like how his workers at the 7-Eleven don't take him seriously. And how this is some metaphor for his life. And people just laughing at his choices. But there is that weirdness to his story that resonates with you and lingers.
Yeah, I think Vigo just humors him and just hangs out with him and doesn't really, I mean, other than that, little oddness, I think he just, part of him really enjoys the distraction from his life and just not having to think about his problems. He can, just listening to his friend's problems. You know, he doesn't have to worry about his.
And at some point he realizes, he's like, bro, you're out of work early. Are they gonna fire you for this? It's like 3 p.m.
No, I had to run. It. I haven't been feeling too good today. My blood pressure. I couldn't concentrate. And just stressed, and they just told me I have a lot more work coming, the deadlines, and that created more stress because I know there's a lot more work that has to be done, and I just said I needed to take the day to relax in preparation. So I knew that you would make me feel better, friend.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad someone feels better today, honestly. I'm still fucked, dude.
But good night's rest. You'll feel better in the morning, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been trying to sleep. All right, well, maybe I will have one of those beers then. Help me get a little drowsy. He nervously, his hand's kind of shaking, he nervously starts taking sips of the beer. And it's, you spend a few hours with him, it starts to get closer to 5 p.m. So how do you kind of leave him in his current state?
I think I something like, well, this has been fun, but I'm supposed to be going to a dinner party. There's some new neighbors who just moved in my apartment. I promised them I'd come, so I'd have to get going, clean up, and get going to that. But you give me a call if you need to chat about anything. I'm always there for you.
Yeah, man. I'll be in touch. I'm just gonna stay here tomorrow. I'm gonna call out or just spend the day to myself, man.
Yeah, just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I think you should take time to care for yourself.
Yeah, man. All right, I'll see you.
I think they hug. He dabs him up,
And he just is so sweaty still, and it's kind of gross. You smell the reek of body odor on him, but
he's still in his underwear.
Yeah. Didn't change for you at all. And as you're heading out, you just see he's dialing a number to order some pizza for himself for dinner. He just reclines back on the couch and continues watching TV. And we'll cut to whoever's next. Would anyone else like to do anything before 5 p.m.?
I think I would try to go catch a show on Broadway.
Okay.
Perhaps, let's see, what was out? Moon Over Buffalo.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Actually, what's the date again?
It just came out, 1995.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I looked that up, but what day of the year is it? Because it came out in October.
Oh, okay. It's earlier than that then. It's August 10th. That's when this takes place.
Oh man. Okay. You know what? We'll go with. Whew. It's a tough choice. Indiscretion.
Ooh, let me look that up.
Or Indiscretions. Sorry, an S.
Okay. Seems like a very awarded play at the time.
Perfect. You must have heard something
Yeah.
or read something in a paper.
Grossed $5 million, which is insane.
Jeez.
1995, $5 million.
Interestingly, yeah, which is even more. It's a translation of a French play by Jean Cocteau, and it seems like this recent translation by Jeremy Sams is going to be really good. Do you go by yourself or do you take someone with you?
I don't think I have anybody that I could call on short notice in the city that doesn't like have a job or something. So I think I'd just go by myself for a little matinee.
Okay. It's interesting because this play appears to mirror a lot of the tragic inevitability of the story of Oedipus from Greek mythology. The young man in the play is attempting to escape the suffocating love of his mother. And it has that similar structure of like trying to escape something, and in the act of escaping, being caught in something, being unable to change one's fate and having it be set from the beginning.
Interesting.
And it's a play that definitely lingers with you. It's like kind of more tragic than you expected. The young man doesn't necessarily reach a positive conclusion at all by the play's conclusion, and you're just sort of left to wonder, like, I mean, I know this is art, and I know I've been through terrible experiences, but like this is really pessimistic. But you know, critics of the theater love those kind of stories that really challenge their viewers' optimism. What are Agent Mastiff's thoughts of this play he's just seen?
I think, you know, as he had read about it as like this fairly artsy movie that was, or a play that was kind of critically acclaimed. So he can understand why it was critically acclaimed, but he kind of, after living as someone who was pessimistic for a very long time, I mean, just 5 years probably without having any hope of anything, but to break out obviously the other side, I think he does view it as a little pessimistic, but maybe not a finished story necessarily.
And you leave the theater. You see there's like a moment when all the actors come on stage and bow and disperse and like head off to the rushes. Everyone else in the theater stands up. There's like actually this whole array of like snacks and drinks right outside the theater, and people are just like milling about, drinking wine, eating, talking about the play. And people seem to love the darkness of it and the inevitability, and they're just like talking amongst themselves about what, you know, this character could mean or this plot moment could mean. Does he stay around in this function, or does he head out?
I think he would check the wine selection. Anything above like a $20 bottle, he'd probably grab a glass. But I don't know if he'd really feel engaged with too many people that were chitter-chattering about. But yeah, he may engage in just like, you know, some small surface level conversation. Probably review some or make some statement about what he had read about it versus what he saw about it. And then he'd probably go grab a slice before he had to head over to the bar to meet these guys.
Yeah, as you grab this, like, actually, I should say this, right? Like, you see there is a very expensive bottle of wine, but it's in the arms of this, like, regal-looking older French dude who's standing there. And he's like, would you like a glass? That is very good.
Yes, thank you.
I am a critic and a playwright myself. My name is Maurice. It's nice to meet you. What is your name?
Oh, it's nice to meet you too. I'm I'm Harold Burton.
Burton. Very nice. What did you think of the play's themes, the scenery, and what were your impressions?
Well, I thought it was a deeply dark play, but that does play to a lot of favor from many people these days. But I'm always looking for the bright. Who knows what happened in the days and years after that event, those events? Perhaps something got better.
Well, you are talking of a play that was translated from French to English. Of course, it's going to seem sad to you all. The French are much more tragic in their way of thinking than Americans. I am the very opposite of you. I love the darkness and the effect that depression has on the mind of a viewer. Insanity, even. In fact, there is a play from France from the 1890s that I have been looking for quite some time. It is said that when people first saw it in the theater, they all went crazy.
Oh, why are you looking for it?
I am, yes. It is said that there is only one known copy of this play to be in existence. And it was sold at auction to an anonymous buyer in New York City.
Huh. So are you here visiting, looking for it now?
Yes.
Or do you? Yes.
I am. I have my circles, my presence here. I'm trying to go to various auction houses to find out what happened to it. It seems like it was paid by someone anonymous to someone else anonymous in 1989. So 6 years ago. But as you can see, I don't have anything to work on. I am just, using my instincts at this point, trying to meet like-minded individuals like yourself.
Yes, well, I'm trying to think if I can. I don't know what someone would want with something like that. I figure that's where you should start. Who has the motivation to have it?
Well, I assume...
Someone like you, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Someone who likes the macabre in their art, in their plays. They like to be challenged as a viewer to look at the darker sides of humanity. This idea of fatalism I find very intriguing.
Yes, well, I suppose waiting at the theater for other people to watch films like you are is probably one of your best bets, but...
Precisely, my friend. That is why I'm here. I hope you enjoyed the wine. If you wish to talk any further, I have going to many functions this week. And he hands you a business card, and it says Maurice Levar.
Oh, well, yes, thank you. I'll keep it in mind. It's been a pleasure, but I actually look at the time. I've got a meeting. Have a good one. And I
You as well.
part ways.
And you head out, and just talking to him, you're like, damn, it's already 4 o'clock. You're gonna have to like rush over to the bar to get there on time.
All right, yeah. Still stopping for a slice of pizza. Don't care. I'll be late.
Yeah.
Gotta get that pie, dude. That slice of pie.
I don't come into the city that often.
That's true. Yeah, you head over, grab some pizza, and I don't know if you're there, Seth, but would
I am.
Oh, all right. What would Agent McGee like to do?
Big.
He
McGee.
just walks around all day, like just strolls the city. I don't think he goes and visits anyone in particular. He goes and grabs a bite to eat, goes for a walk around the park, maybe.
Okay. Just kind of like clearing his head before this meeting.
Yeah. He likes to keep himself occupied.
Okay. What are his like? How does he digest what he saw earlier with that child clown? Is he like, oh, it's just some really weird street performer, or is he like, this is really strange?
I think maybe strange in the way that he was amazed that someone so young had such like precise and like methodical control over their movements. Nothing beyond that though.
Okay. And all of you come back together at this bar. What was it called again, Ryan?
The Fifth Street Bar.
Fifth Street Bar. You guys all pile into a booth that's in the far back of the restaurant.
Not shady at all, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of early. There's not that many people in there, so when there's not that many people, it's not really that shady. Like, you kind of just carve out your own space in the place. You've thought about this, and like the waiters and waitresses won't really bat a second eye. But you make sure, to like when they come over to get something, like an order, you like make sure it's covered. You don't let them see anything. You talk in hushed tones. But yeah, I'll hand it over to you. How does Agent Maynard brief them?
I took the liberty of looking through this. There's not too much here we can go off of, but that Agent Marcus did give us some helpful items, and I passed out the credentials that he gave all of us. I guess we're all FBI agents now. So I hand each of them their badge or their credential. Additionally, I mean, there are some news posts. One from the New York Post, and I sort of like throw it on the table. I guess the most important thing here would be his document seems official, and I bring out the draft document. It notes some of the findings that the FBI found at Abigail's Wright's apartment, but nothing much more than that. Oh, and here's Abigail, and I bring out the Polaroid as well. Oh, I guess there are also the keys, so I produced the original set of keys that were in there as well.
Yep, you have 2 sets of the building, and now on top of the 1 set of her apartment keys.
Yeah. I don't show them the building key that I copied, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my keys.
Well, it looks like you've got us all squared away.
Not really me, but the Agent Maynard did pull some strings. It looks like. I mean, I'd be fooled by this. And he pulls up like the fake credential and was like, "Interesting, a Richard Levsner," and puts it in his pocket.
Interesting.
Well, looks like we're gonna be wading through a whole pile of shit.
I mean,
Based
it
on
seems
this
like
here document, there's junk all over the place in that apartment. How long do you reckon it'll take all of us to sort through it?
I don't know. Agent Marcus, was it? Yeah. He noted that there was a symbol that we were supposed to find. I'm not too familiar with what could be a symbol and all that junk, but we'll have to go through it. Luckily, it seems like it's been a cold case for a while, so there shouldn't be any detectives strolling by, and if they are, maybe they're one of us. You know, cold cases I feel like shouldn't get investigated all too often after they go cold.
That's fair enough. Although I would say most demonic symbols are pretty self-apparent. I feel like they're not usually hiding.
But that's the weird thing. In this note, there's no mention of a very in-your-face symbol. You know, it's just like jewelry here, partial dentures for whatever reason, a wheelchair. I feel like the FBI would have noted if there was some pentagram or something written in lamb's blood on the wall. So I really can't think of a cult symbol that in this list of things that would immediately stick out to me.
Well, if it stuck out to anyone before, I think we would have heard in the news. Maybe we're not looking for the devil as seen in the Bible.
Yeah, something more subtle. That would make sense.
I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes out.
So what do y'all think? Do we just barge in there and try to figure out what's what? Maybe go at night so we don't, run into anyone in the hallways, any neighbors that could have known Abigail.
I knew I liked the way you wear your pants.
I looked down at my pants.
Yes, I guess if we do it at night, I won't have to get a hotel, so that works.
Are any of you by any chance any building officials or city officials?
Personally, no.
No. It'd be interesting if we could get a layout of the actual building and maybe the apartment number, but I don't have access to the county records per se. Or
We
building
get
plans.
the key, but we don't know the layout of the building.
Seems like it.
All right,
We'll just have to
we'll make do.
ask someone when we get there.
Perhaps there's a fire exit plan with a layout in the building.
Trying to find the least disarming person out of our character, or most disarming person out of our characters.
To try to do what?
To go talk up like the doorman of the building.
Don't you have a key?
I do, but I don't want to scope out the apartment by using a key if I can scope out the apartment just by talking to people.
I mean, we have credentials. We could probably just be like, hey, we're investigating that thing.
That's fair. We could do that too.
I think you'd be the best at doing that, considering I imagine you've done that for work before.
So this weekend maybe we all go visit Abigail's apartment.
Oh, I
Maybe
was
two of
thinking
us go
tonight.
tonight after work hours, presenting us some credentials.
I mean, you said you wanted to go at night.
I said the meeting was going to be tonight. I didn't think we could go tonight. We could, I guess.
I mean, it's just a long drive back to my house, so if we could get
Well,
it done.
hell. I'm just itching to do something at least.
All right. Well, how far is it from here?
It's like
If
like a 20-minute drive, 45-minute walk.
Any of you drive?
I have my vehicle with me nearby.
I mean, the subway's probably pretty efficient at this point.
Yeah, subway could get you there in like 10, 15.
Let's not bring any personal vehicles. Avoid any suspicion maybe that can draw upon us.
And pay cash for the subway.
Yeah, I feel like we would all have cash. All right, so I'd say we start walking over.
Okay.
Just gotta get something out of my car. Gonna get my gat.
Your pistol?
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm gonna get my grenades and my rifle.
I keep my pistol around my ankle.
Yeah. I mean, well, that is perfect to lead into this because I will say, like, there are certain items that you absolutely could not take with you on a walk throughout New York City. So unless you tell me explicitly now that you're bringing it with you, it is going to be assumed to be like in your car or somewhere else.
Yeah.
What, you couldn't bring a pistol with you in New York City?
That you can, if you conceal it.
We could.
Oh yeah. Oh.
We can.
Yeah. Just
We're also
we're federal agents. We're
Yeah, we're
expected
federal
to
agents.
have
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is fine.
our sidearm with us.
But like you can bring your M16A2 through the streets to this
Dang.
apartment basically.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I thought the Second Amendment exists.
Not in New York City.
Not in New York City, I believe.
Fucking commies.
Fucking commies.
I think that is what it is. I think that's the reason.
Okay, so is there anything you guys want to bring that, isn't obvious from the jump? I know some of you guys have like certain interesting items in your inventory.
We do. I don't.
I was gonna say, I believe I just have my gun.
There's other items too.
Look.
Some of
I
you
think
guys...
everything else would be like an old pouch, side bag, maybe.
Gotcha. This will essentially just be the last opportunity to like tell me you're bringing something before we
I guess
get to this.
some flexible cuffs. Whatever that means.
Oh,
Okay.
they're like zip tie cuffs. The
yeah.
zip tie cuffs? Yeah.
I also have a tactical light that maybe
Oh,
it's
definitely bring
usually
that.
affixed to my helmet, but I'll detach it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, a multi-tool? Wow. I've got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'll take the multi-tool as well.
Okay.
So flexible cuffs, light, and multi-tool. For sure.
And pistol.
Oh yeah, pistol.
Cool.
And then I also, while we're, I guess getting off the subway, if there's no one around us, I'll hand them each an FBI windbreaker that I snatched from the extra supply closet at work.
Thank you.
I have my pistol, rubber gloves, maybe some science like like test tubes and specimen collection stuff if I wanted to gather some forensic evidence and test it. Just some stuff like that.
Alrighty. Anything else for other items?
Can I have a whole pack of rubber gloves?
Yeah, you could get that.
Okay, perfect. I'll be wearing a pair then. Right now.
Okay. So before you guys get in the...
And
Yep.
I want like a little like pocket hand mirror because Vigo's sometimes paranoid that I don't know. So that way he could like, without looking around him to see if he's being like followed, maybe he could just like use this.
Okay. You guys head down beneath to the subway. You head through, and you come up just a block from her apartment. The McAllister building, you see it's a classic brownstone structure. Seems to be 3 stories in this like faux castle design. And you see there's like this fake portcullis that hangs above the large double doors to the building. And there are these like cheap concrete gargoyles that stare down at you from above. You see there appears to be like sort of like the front doors and then the actual doors into the McAllister building that the residents or their visitors would use. It appears like there's some kind of like buzzer system or like an intercom system. Looks to be old, maybe like it was put in like the 1960s. Do you guys walk in?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Interestingly enough, there is no light coming from this building. There's no light in this beginning foyer. There's no light coming from any of the residents' windows.
I don't like that.
Flashlight comes
Nothing?
on.
You see in the foyer, there's it's like basically this small room, or just past this door that lets you into the building proper, which you guys unlock. There's this marble floor. All the tenants' mailboxes are lining the sides of it, and the floor is covered with old newspapers, sale circulars, and pizza coupons. And you see that there's all these like old style vents and these like open air shafts that are coming into this center foyer.
Does it look like this place is not inhabited? Like, it's a whole apartment building.
Right.
It seems very odd.
Oh boy.
Is there power? Like, is there an elevator in this building?
There doesn't appear to be an elevator.
Are there like light switches we can like test? Like, is the power out or is it just not on?
You flick it up and down and nothing happens. No light comes on. Appears like there's no power.
It's weird. Well,
Other than that, you see in front of you, a single hallway seems to run the length of the building, carpeted in this plush burgundy. 2 apartments are on either side of each floor, and then there's a stairwell that leads up to the next.
Do we want to try to see if we can turn on the power? Or do you want to just go up to their apartment?
I mean, light would definitely be helpful. So
All right, let's go try to find the breaker. Is it one of those apartments where it'd be on the outside or like in the basement where the boiler is?
In the basement.
All right, sure, fine.
we'll all go together.
I'm taking the gun out. I don't give a shit.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I think
I would too,
Ri-
for
Ri-
sure.
Richard will also draw, or Maynard, I guess.
Classic like tack flashlight style too.
Okay. So walking in to the ground floor. You know that you would want to head to the right. Sort of down this like flight of stairs that leads down into the basement that appears to be below ground level. As you head down, you just see like, you know, like a place that was made in the 60s, not well taken care of. There's just like spider webs, like mothballs, and no light. So who's using the flashlight in this moment, and who's going to be in front?
Oh, me.
Big meatball man.
MacGee. It's
Big,
me, McGee.
big meatball man. Okay.
This is creepy.
You head on down, and you start to smell what smells like oils and paint thinners. And as you begin to make your way down, you see the shape of what looks like a wooden easel that's faced away from you. And just with the sound of like dripping water coming from above. That's where we'll leave off for tonight.